outside. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm just about to do my makeup so I can put together a look to go with this dress that I made. It was quite a ride because I started with a completely different idea. I was pattern drafting it in Illustrator, I tested it twice, and then I was just like, forget this, it's not working. I'm gonna go with something more fun and playful. So I went back to the drawing board and designed a simple billowy sleeve dress with a loose bodice and puffy gathered tiers. I drafted and sewed this all in one day, and I'm going to show you that now.
So starting with the front bodice, you want to deepen the armhole by 1 inch and smooth the underarm curve. Widen the underarm and waist by 1/2 inch. Add a notch 1 inch from the underarm for the invisible zipper placement. Make a new dart line 4 inches down from the underarm. In paper, you would cut out the 2 dart legs and close half of the original dart by rotating. This will open up that side dart. Shorten the bodice by measuring 16 inches from the shoulder neckline apex and create a curved line corresponding to the original hem. Erase the original hem and the original dart that's left over to create that boxy look. Create a neck by widening the neck by 1.5 inches and deepening the neckline to create a V-neck. I think I used about 9 or 10 inches. You want to shorten this new dart end to be about 2 inches from the bust point and create a drill hole 1/2 inch from the dart end. The drill hole will mark the fabric, and it's good because it won't show when you sew the completed length of the dart. Create the dart bulk by folding on the center line and folding down. Cut off the excess to match the side. Circle the drill hole and create notches to mark the dart legs. Then mirror this to create a full front bodice and turn the center line into a grain line. Also create center notches. The zipper notch should be moved to the right side. Now for the back bodice. On the side seam, deepen the armhole by 1 inch and smooth the underarm curve. Widen the underarm by 1/2 inch. Now you measure the width of the top from the center back to the new underarm point and bring that length to the bottom to create the same width at the bottom. Shorten this to match the front by matching the side seams and make sure you discount the width that's caused by the dart.
Getting bored? I am too. Here's a video of me dancing horribly in the dress that you will soon be able to wear yourself and dance hopefully much better in. Okay, back to work.
Widen the back neckline like the front by 1.5 inches along the shoulder and then bring it down 1 inch at the center back. Then mirror this to create a full back bodice and turn the center line into a grain line. For the sleeve, shorten sleeves 14 inches from the cap. Create 5 even sections and number them. Cut them out, then create a guideline. Place the bottom of the sleeve along this line and spread each piece 2.5 inches apart. Create a new sleeve head and reposition the front, back, and center notches. Place the grain line in the center and add a center notch at the bottom. Add seam allowance of 1/2 inch to all pieces and transfer the notches to the outer edge of the seam allowance. There are 2 tiers of the skirt. The top tier is 10 inches by 30 inches wide. You need to make sure to add the bottom notch for the bottom of the zipper. The zipper should be a 12-inch or longer zipper. The bottom tier should be 10 inches by 58 inches with the seam allowance included. To create the mini cuff, measure your bicep, add 1 inch plus the seam allowance. For me, that was 10 inches by 2.5 inches. Create a front and back facing by tracing the necklines and shoulders and creating a 2.5 inch wide parallel width. And lastly, I thought it would be really fun to make a matching scrunchie. So the dimensions that I used is 16 inches by 4 inches, including seam allowance. And that is your completed pattern with seam allowance, grain lines, and labeling. When looking for this fabric, my eye caught this lovely black and gold brocade of about 58 to 60 inches wide. I created a layout for you to go by. Just make sure you lay it all out first and make sure everything fits before you cut. If you have a different width of fabric, the principle is to lay the largest pieces first, then work your way down to smaller pieces so that you get everything in. And always test it first before you cut so that you don't end up with not enough fabric. After cutting, I serged everything because this brocade fabric is very ravelly and I didn't want it to fall apart as I sewed. To start the front bodice, fold the dart at the notches and sew to the dart mark as close to the edge as possible, then sew straight along this edge very close for 1/2 inch, then snip and knot the ends. Iron the darts down with a press cloth to protect the fabric. Always test this on a scrap piece of fabric because you don't want a shiny effect on your fabric that looks like the fabric was damaged or melted or something. Sew twill tape to the neckline to help it keep its shape and sew this within the seam allowance. With right sides together, sew the shoulder seams of the front and back bodice. Next, sew the shoulder seams of the front and back facings, then place the sewn facings to the right side of the bodice neckline and sew around at 1/2 inch. Then trim this seam allowance to 1/4 inch and snip the curves in the center front V-neck. Turn out and edge stitch along the facing. Flip inside the garment and iron flat. Gather the sleeves with a large stitch between front and back notches, then sew to the bodice. Also gather the hem of the sleeves. Next, sew a large gather stitch on the top of each skirt tier. Gather the top tier to match the bodice waist and the bottom tier to match the top tier. Do the same for the backside. Gather the sleeve to match the cuff length and sew right sides together. Apply the invisible zipper into the side seam between the notches. Use an invisible zipper foot and sew the first side to the seam. Apply the other side of the zipper to the dress seam, making sure to match where the seams are. Sew up the rest of the seam above and below the zipper. Then sew the opposing underarm, and side seam. Next, fold the cuff in 1/2 inch, then fold it again till the edge of the fold is about 1/16 over the original seam. This is so that when you stitch in the ditch or stitch in between the seam, you will catch the fold on the inside as shown. And as I sew it, I just keep checking underneath to make sure that everything's in place as I remove the pins so that I get a nice stitch right on the fold. Finally, fold over 1/4 and 1/4 and sew to finish the hem. And you're done!